Psalm 127, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. If you have ever felt the crushing weight, anxiety, and burnout, the struggle that can be involved in building your marriage, building a business, raising a family, when you do that in your own strength, exhaustion is inevitable. But when the Lord is involved, it's so much better.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Side by Side Business Podcast, episode number 45.
Woohoo.
I'm Larry, this is Sue, and we are your hosts again here today. And we are excited to start a 4-part series on Psalm 127 and how that applies to our marriage, to our home, and to our business. There's so much packed up in these 5 little verses, and we're going to get started on that today.
Absolutely. We're really looking forward to that. We were talking earlier about what we can feel like sometimes, does the business own us or do we own the business? Which one is it? And that struggle that happens there.
Yes, it does happen quite often. And so you can feel like you're trying to build something, but it's just not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not gaining any traction. It feels like, vanity. It feels like it's nothing.
Yes.
Just like what that verse in Psalm 127:1 talks about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we have often felt that frustration of feeling owned by our business until we surrendered and let the Lord build our business.
And most of the time it looks like something completely different than what we thought it was going to be. So anyway, we're going to dig into all that today.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is part 1 of 4, and we're going to talk about, we've got it all alliterated out and everything.
Yes.
We're going to talk about God as the provider, God as our protector, God is giving us peace, and then how he blesses our posterity. And so today we're going to talk about God as provider.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it would be helpful just to kind of give a little bit of an overview of Psalm 127 and here at the beginning. And I talked about those 4 key points that we're going to be talking about. But the fact that there's 4 podcast episodes from a chapter of the Bible that has 5 verses tells you just how impactful this has been for us. And especially as we have sought to balance the family life and business life, which I think many of the people in our audience are trying to do that same thing.
Exactly. And in just those few verses, there is so much that I can't wait till we get to the first 2. But anyway, we'll wait until we get there.
That'll be the third out of the 4 episodes.
Yeah. So,
verse 1 gets 2 episodes all to itself here.
That's right. And so we're just talking about the first half today and talking about God as provider and how he makes way, how he works in building your family, building your business, strengthening your marriage, all those things that we've been talking about. And, we use the analogy of building a house. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason that speaks so much to us is because we had the experience of getting to build our house, not with our own 2 hands, but we built our house 16 years ago now. And that experience taught us a lot.
Yeah, that was quite a process. It was overwhelming at times. Mm-hmm. And that was during a time where I had a day job and we were not able to communicate during the day.
Right.
And the contractor was talking to you quite frequently during the day and saying, what about this? What about that? And so you were getting overwhelmed with a tremendous amount of decisions that had to be made, that you were trying to include me in those decisions.
I would stack them up. I would make a list and have these decisions stacked up so that I could talk to you about them before we made final decisions. And to be fair, I knew that there were going to be a lot of decisions that had to be made. People had warned me about that. Even so, it felt very overwhelming, even knowing that I needed to expect that. And so you would come home at the end of the day and I would present you with my list of decisions that needed to be made tonight.
And I think we should also kind of address the issue of our personality types.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and that's something we haven't dug just real deeply into in the podcast yet. That'll be in the future. That'll be another series.
Yes, it will.
On personality types. But my personality type needs to take a lot of time to make decisions. I need to get all kinds of data to come in. I love to do research and all of that type of stuff. And so each of these little bitty decisions would take me forever to make. Your personality.
Oh, I can make a decision really fast. And if I don't like it, I can change my mind, but I can make a decision fast. I listen to details and do research until I feel like I know enough to make a decision. And then I make a decision. Boom, like that.
And then on to the next thing.
And on to the next thing. That's right.
I admire that tremendously because it's painful sometimes.
Yes. But I wanted to honor you and I wanted to include you on these decisions. So there was a little bit of friction there in that way too, because I was like, this one or this one. And you would be like, well, what other options are there? Until it came to the decision about the kitchen cabinet doorknobs. That was the one that we kind of realized, oh, this is breaking and we need to rework our system here. Yes. So you came home one night and I said, what kind of kitchen doorknobs do you want? And your reaction was?
The reality hit me just like really hard, like a brick. It was like, you mean there's different kinds of kitchen counter or kitchen cabinet knobs?
Or handles? I mean, you could have gone with a handle. I mean,
what? Who cares? I just want to open it up and get the plate out, And so I think it hit me pretty hard at that moment. Yes. Like, you have been waiting all day long, probably 12 hours at that stage.
Ish.
And seriously, the progress on building our house is being held back on the kitchen cabinet knobs or whatever, some other, to me, was very irrelevant thing. I know that's really important to a lot of people.
Yes, right. But to you, it just wasn't.
It just wasn't to me.
And it was kind of important to me
to
have it, have a certain look or what have you. So.
Yes. And when it came to things like what colors should we do with certain things, I should not be doing anything with colors. I'm colorblind to some extent. And there are some colors I can see a little bit better. And so like the color of the walls in this room and such, I had a say in that.
Right.
But for the most part, on some of those interior decisions, we just decided that Sue was going to handle all of those. And I guess if I had some major objection, I don't think I had it on anything.
No, you did not.
I could speak to that or whatever. But otherwise, I was like, just make your decisions.
And you had to convince me a little bit of that.
Yes.
You said, I really don't care. Pick whatever you want. And I wasn't sure. I was like, I really, like, you're going to have to live with this too. And you like very definitively just looked right at me and said, I do not care. Pick whichever one you want. And I just went, oh. And suddenly I felt free. And we said, and we kind of divvied it up the way you said. On the interior of the house, I was free and had the authority to make almost all the decisions. On the exterior of the house, you had the authority to make almost all the decisions. Yeah. And we talked about a few things together. Right. But mostly the house is, the inside is me and the outside is you, And so, and it worked out really well. Very compatible.
And I think that this goes very well to what we teach. Is as far as the roles in the home and roles in the business, whoever has the responsibility in a certain area needs to also have the authority in that area.
That's right.
And so we talk about that in the business all the time. List out all the different responsibilities that you have with your business, and then figure out who is going to have control over that. And when they have control over it, they have control over it. That means that the other spouse can't come back and really criticize that. Now, again, if there's some major thing that happened, we've talked about with our eBay income stream that you were running that for a while, and then you were just overwhelmed with other things. And I came along and said, hey, how about if I do some of the listings? And so there's some opportunity for moving those things around.
Right. It doesn't have to be permanent.
Yes, but that's not our main point of this right here.
Not at all.
But anyway, so that part was free. But yeah, just all of those decisions that we had to make in physically building a house. And because Psalm 127:1 talks about, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain, that just is just so impactful for us.
And we experienced a little bit of just the truth of that, in that, like, we had all the decisions that we got to make about what the house looked like, all that kind of thing. And when we were done, we realized, well, it's not our eternal home. So it's okay if some of the things are not quite what we thought they were going to be.
Right.
And that was kind of a nice lesson for us too.
I think I'm going to go down and change those cabinet knobs right now. I'm very dissatisfied with that.
You don't like them after 16 years?
Yeah. Yeah, but so the house is not perfect. We're very content with where we are. The Lord provided for us because we had been searching for a house.
Oh, yeah.
Again, we have 5 kids. The house we were in before was 1,200 square feet. It was 3 bedrooms, and the bedrooms were really small. Our youngest son, he couldn't, he was old enough to sit in one of those toddler seats, booster seats at the table, but there was no room for him at the table.
And no room in the kitchen for a bigger table.
So, we quote unquote needed a bigger house. But we weren't able to find anything. We weren't able to afford to build it. And then the Lord just blessed us through a really good friend who
hugely blessed us
so that we were able to build this house. And so we can't look at this house and really complain.
No, we're so grateful every time. So many times I've been struck by, wow, God gave us this. And it's either something about the house, the space that we have, where we live. We're out in the middle of the country, and I love that. We've got woods near us. We've got farm fields near us. I mean, it's just amazing. And so I love this house, but it's not my eternal home.
It's not perfect. It's not our eternal home.
Yeah.
And our home in heaven will be perfect.
Yeah.
And from John chapter 14, it says, "In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go to and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also." And of course, those are the words of Jesus. And what makes heaven perfect is the fact that Jesus is there.
Yes.
And that we get to spend eternity with him.
And I love how he talked about that he's preparing a place for us. He's preparing our home. And y'all know what he did when he was on earth, right? He was a carpenter, which is pretty amazing.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of those things that I can't not smile whenever I think about that. That Jesus, when he came to earth in his humanity, he was building homes. Yes. He was building additions onto homes. He was building wooden chairs and benches and things. And for him to say that I'm going to go prepare a place for you is really exciting, because, when we were building this house, every once in a while, the contractor would say, "Hey, the prices have gone up on something, and so we're going to go a little bit over the budget here," or "This is not going to happen as quickly as what we thought," because we did build in potentially the worst time of our generation, 2008, 2009, when the bank crisis was going on, the housing market was crashing, and it was a bad time to be building a house. But
God blessed us so that we could. And, when you think about our eternal home, Jesus is not going to be over budget. He's not going to be late. It's going to be perfect. It will be perfect.
He will be on time and on budget, even though it's not in our timing.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Exactly.
So we look forward to that perfect dwelling place for us in heaven, but we are called to live here on earth in this imperfect world, in an imperfect home. It doesn't matter how big your house is. It doesn't really matter where you live. Nothing wrong with having a really nice house.
Right. No.
There's nothing wrong.
I love having a really nice house.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with living in that smaller house that we had, or whatever your living arrangements are. You can find contentment in that for sure. And we are called to be content.
And the same is true with your marriage, and the same is true with your family, and the same is true with your business. You can find contentment even as you work to improve it with God's help.
That's right. Because I think most of us, as we are building our home, again, we've been talking about the house itself, but thinking about the home, which is your family, your dwelling and such. As you're building your business, there are seasons, there's times where you face burnout. There's times where you're facing anxiety. And sometimes that can be just in the natural flow of things, if it's a short-term kind of a thing. But if you find yourself just kind of stuck there, like, I can't get out of this anxiety phase. I can't get out of this burnout because I just have got no motivation and such. That's a really good time just to check and come back and reread these verses from Psalm 127 and just think, am I trying to build this on my own? Am I trying to be my own provider here? Or is this something where I need to surrender this to the Lord? Because that's really the solution is.
Yeah. And if you come to the realization that you're doing it on your own power, and you reread that verse 1, the first half of verse 1, it says that if the Lord isn't building the house, then those who build it labor in vain, which means vanity. It's useless. It's no good. It's not gonna end well. And so it's kind of like you said, it's a good indicator that maybe something is off if you're stuck in anxiety and burnout.
So if you're feeling chaos, if you're feeling disappointment with where things are, again, I don't want to, there's a balance to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we live in this imperfect world, as I've said already. And so there is a certain amount of chaos. Like, some of it is, it's just to be expected. When we had 5 kids at home and they were young, and
there were some chaotic times. But I think the difference is the chaos inside me or outside.
That's a good point.
And so if the chaos is inside, that's a really good indicator. But if God is in it, if he's the one guiding you and he's the one directing you, then your labor that you're doing for your business, the work that you're doing to strengthen your marriage, the efforts that you're putting forth to raise and disciple your children, those are sweet labors and they're very rewarding.
Yeah.
It's still tiring, but rewarding.
Yes. And you should feel a peace. And that's getting ahead to verse 2, which is going to be episode 3, when we're going to be talking about that peace that we do feel, that we can feel. So you want to read 1 Corinthians 15?
Yeah, this is verse 58. And it says, "Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain." So the mirror of what Psalm 127 says. So it just is it's so reassuring to know that when we're following God's path, our labor is producing what it should. It's sweet, it's rewarding, it's satisfying. You get to the end of a day and you're tired, but you're satisfied.
Yes. So I think kind of a good way as we start winding down here, some good things to be talking about is it really doesn't matter where we live on earth, as far as like what city you live in, what house you live in and such. In some ways, it doesn't matter what business you even build.
Right.
All right. Now, I do think that God gives us direction and puts a dream and a desire in our heart, and you should look for his leading on that.
Get in tune with that.
Get in tune with that. But what's important is whatever you are doing, make sure that you're doing it with the Lord, that you are seeking out his direction. And when you do that, as that verse just said, it's going to be very rewarding, and it's going to, the burnout stages, if you even hit them, they're not going to last very long.
Right. I think there's an important word to use here. We haven't actually used the word yet, but when you are wanting to do the work with the Lord, do the work that's not in vain, the key is surrendering to the Lord, giving up the need to have your idea be the one that you pursue, or this idea for how we grow the business. maybe that's it, maybe it's not. And if you follow the Lord's leading and he says, not that way, I want you to do it this way, do it his way. It'll be so much better.
Yeah. And another word, I thought you were going to use a different word there. Another really key word is trust. Trusting him to provide for you. And so this is something, maybe just a word to the guys here, because God does put into men in particular this desire to provide for the family. And that is a good thing. That is a God-honoring thing, to be active and working hard and trying to earn money and providing for the family so that everybody's taken care of, so we can all eat, so that we've got nice things and such. But it's all providing in a human fashion, but surrendering to the Lord and trusting in the Lord that the true provision comes from him. So
those two things go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I don't know that you could surrender to the Lord without trusting him to take care of you.
Yeah. And there's been some times where some lean times for us, for sure. And I have felt that extra weight of providing for the family and feeling as if I was a failure. And I remember you've even said some things to me about that. Well, do you remember what you said to me?
Well, I know I've said that although I understand your burden and I understand what you're thinking about, I have said I'm really not depending on you as much as I am depending on the Lord. He is the one that is going to provide. Now, I expect he's going to use you to do it in a lot of ways, but he is my provider. And so he's the one that I'm looking to. And so he's the one that when I'm feeling desperate, I go to him. And I share my complaint to him, and I share my plea to him for whatever it is that I need, because I know he's the one that's going to provide it. And oftentimes I do look for that to come through you, but I'm really not I'm not depending on a worldly provision at all.
Yeah.
It's all him.
And that has been very helpful for me, by the way.
Oh, good.
Because
that was my hope.
Because I do feel the weight of that provision for the family. But then when you and I go together as a married couple, and again surrender to the Lord and say, we trust you, Lord, and we would like you to provide for us. We're begging you to provide for us here. Then he always has. I mean, we've never missed a payment. We've never gone without a meal. And the Lord does provide. But when he builds the house, or when he builds the business, he's going to do it in his timing, in his way. And it is all designed to help us to learn more about him, to become more like Christ, to learn to trust him more and better. And as we've said, it's much sweeter whenever we surrender to him, for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think that's the first P out of the 4 Ps that we're talking about, that God is our provider.
Yeah.
And so we hope that this has been a time of encouragement for you, and that you have been able to, just learn some, maybe this is just a revisiting of a very familiar verse to you. But we do encourage you to tune in next time whenever we're going to be talking about God's protection over us. And that's another area that is sometimes a challenge for us to surrender to him. So, all right. You want to add anything else?
I don't think so. This has been, I think that we said everything we need to say about this topic.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, I hope everybody has enjoyed this. We would love it if you would put a comment here on whatever the podcast, or if you're at YouTube or Apple or Spotify, wherever, if you could put a comment, if you could give us a like and a follow, all of that, you would never know just how much of a blessing that would be to us whenever you do that. So, all right. So that'll be a wrap for this time. Hope you take the information that you learned here today and go build your dream business.
Side by side.
Take care.